This is Jono Mervis, and this is our very first episode of Running the Cape TV. We've got an awesome interview this morning lined up with Trish Bahlmann, who is the winner of the North Face Lesotho Ultra 2014. But before we get into that, just a little about the show. We're not 100% sure what the format is yet, but we're going to have a series of interviews lined up for you with trail runners with interesting stories. And yeah, we'll make a decision on where we're going from there, if that's the format we stick with, or if we'll try something new and see if we can't expand it a bit. We're on South African internet connection, so please excuse any drop or fluctuations in quality. But hopefully we manage to get a stable connection throughout. So without further ado, let's get into the interview with Trish Bahlmann. Hey Trish, welcome, and thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, what an honor. It's actually quite a pleasure and a privilege, I must say. It's first for me.
Thank you. To be honest, it's a first for me too, but so let's experiment and together and see how the format works.
Great, great.
Cool. Well, tell us a little bit about where you're from, who you are, and a little bit about your sporting background and you know, your history.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually from the Free State, and basically I've come from a background where I started as a cross-country athlete when I was probably about 10, 11 years old, and that's sort of like where the bug started, and it bit there, and I've really actually taken running more seriously in the last 3 years, just after kiddies, and now that I'm in Durban and KZN, there's plenty races going on, so it's brilliant. I mean, this gives me an opportunity to hit the trails more often, which is great.
Awesome. Yeah, it seems we tend to hear a lot of news about what goes on with trail races here in the Cape, but KZN seems like the other sort of mecca of South African trail running. How long have you been living in KZN for?
I've been in KZN now for about 14 years, so yeah, it's really just the local races have started, getting there's more and more local races that's happening at the moment, which is quite good. It's great because it's obviously it's growing in KZN, which is great. I mean, the Cape, I know that there's a million races to choose from. Obviously the local races there's plenty going now, but it's obviously only now in the last couple of years it's really starting to take off nicely.
Okay.
Very exciting.
Yeah. And you said you started as a cross-country athlete and then started to take running more seriously. Did you get into sort of more mountain running and trail-specific running as opposed to the cross-country in the last 3 years, or had you started prior to that?
No, I've been more a road runner really. I've done a couple comrades before, and so it really actually after school, I sort of like that's the thing that we do. If we run, we go on the road, and then being in Durban, obviously if you haven't run comrades, they say that you're not a runner. So I've done a couple comrades, but the trail has just got something special. It's just I don't know. It fills the soul bucket, so it's great. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's an experience I can completely relate to. I guess that's why we're here, is because we both feel that way. So, and then your racing, your trail racing, where did it start?
Sure. Actually, by chance, I used to have my own business where I supplied cold room trailers to the sporting industry, and I actually sort of like stumbled across a race, the Golden Gate race in the Free State, and the event organizer said to me, so why, you're in training, why don't you just run one day? And that's where it started, and I thought, but how is it possible that these people can do it 3 days in a row? And the bug bit, and sure, I started my first one. I ran the next year in February, I ran another race, and a stage race, which was my first stage race, and now I'm addicted, so it's great.
What was that stage race?
It was the Three Cranes here in Karkloof.
Right.
What's it? Now I'm even confused. But it's basically on our doorstep, so it's so nice and easy to get there. And I mean, you see beautiful places which you would never never even been to in your life if you haven't, done a trail race. So yeah, it's great.
Fantastic. And then, how did those first races go? Were you sort of up at the front, or were you still?
Yeah, look, I mean, it was a learning curve. I mean, the first day of my first stage race, I remember they added about 4Ks into the race, which sort of like, yeah, it was one of those 4Ks that you thought, no, this is not happening to me. And my first day after that race, I was lying third, and I remember crying the rest of the day because I thought, how is it possible that all these people can do it and be excited about it, and I'm dying, yeah. So I ended up being third. I was on the podium, but I think things have changed quite a bit after that. Yeah, I wanted to do it well. I wanted to run harder, and obviously training better for it, which obviously helps. So yeah.
And that leads me perfectly into what I wanted to ask next, which is what your training schedule looks
Look, sure. I tell you, I've had many people obviously helping and mentoring me on my running, and I'm so grateful for every single person, that's ever been into, helping me with my training and whatnot. But after Comrades this year, I sort of like decided, okay, now I really want to take something really serious here, and I think, trail, obviously because I love it so much, trail was the thing to do. So I joined a new coach, and obviously had to learn how to trust the training that was so different to what I was used to. Being on the road for Comrades, mileage junkie, so it was always about big mileage. Now things have changed quite rapidly with a new coach. So trusting that and knowing that works, and for me it's finding the right recipe for you as a person, and I think I finally found it, so which is great.
That's great. You said it's switched away from distance, which I think many trail runners can relate to, particularly if they come from road. That distance becomes much less of a factor. Has it changed to time? Has it changed to vertical meters, or is there something?
Oh, but basically everything really. I mean, distance-wise, mileage is not such a big thing, but a lot of strength work now, cross training, which I've never done before, which I do now, levels, which is much higher than what I'm used to. So yeah, it's probably easier on the body, but harder in a sense from your training. Your levels of training is much harder, but you got to thoroughly enjoy what you do and keep it interesting, and that's what keeps it fun to do a race, because then it works finally. Finally.
Absolutely. And you said has that been this year that's changed, or was that a couple of years back?
Oh no, for sure. Definitely this year. The last 3 years I've been really trying to focus on the running. I've had, my family supports me very well with doing what I love doing, and I'm very blessed with that. So it's really the training that I do now is, and the races that I did then was purely on sort of like, if it looked great, I'll do it, but then I wanted to do it great, but it's not as now the focus is very much just trail, and that obviously makes a difference. So I used to be all over the show with quite a few different races, try this, try that, but yeah, now the focus has definitely shifted, and I think I've grown a lot in learning about what I need, what my training requires, and then to implement it obviously on the races.
Okay, fantastic. I wanted to talk about some of your trail racing history. So obviously you've spoken that you've done Comrades and a few Comrades and things, which is obviously huge mileage. But from the little bit of research I was able to do, I saw that you've done and won some shorter races as well. So 2013 Wild Runner, the KZN Trail Series, which is Wild Runners are Cape Town based, and we know them.
Yes.
The trail community knows them well, and I think that Owen and his team do a really wonderful job of introducing the sport to people, to runners and to non-runners, through that series. Can you tell us a bit about the races there? What the 4 races are like? If I'm not mistaken, you won all 4.
Yeah, the Spur series is obviously divine. I mean, there's sponsorships, and they actually it's almost like overwhelming with the prizes and stuff, which is generally not the case, for most races. But yeah, KZN has got quite a few races that is definitely, they're definitely trying to make it real trail. For me, trail running is not just going on a pathway and say that's a trail run. There's some really nice trail runs here. We've got the Three Falls. It's a fantastic race. It's hard. That's a proper trail. And most of Andrew Booth's races that he organises, he's also an event organiser here in KZN. If you know Andrew's been involved with the route, you know that you're going to be in for some great trail. But yeah, the local races are definitely getting there. It's divine. Look, obviously there's various distances to these races, so yeah, it depends on what you're into. But for everybody, once you're into it, then you want to do more. So it's lovely.
Fantastic. And then Golden Gate Challenge you went back to this year as well, that you had mentioned.
Yeah, Golden Gate was one of my nicest races this year. I actually had such a blast. I thought, in the beginning I knew that there's, I know most of the local races or the ladies that run, and you sort of like get to know your competitors and what their strengths are and whatnot. So it was really a race where I didn't know who's going to be there on the line because there was nobody that are sort of like the well-known names. But then I thought, okay, well, let me see how far I can get with the guys. If there's nobody to chase with the girls, then let's just do it. And I actually had such a blast. It was fantastic. But I've always loved going back to the Free State, and the mountains are amazing. So why not? Why not?
Fantastic. And how did it go racing against the guys?
Yeah, look, not always do they enjoy being chased by a lady, but hey, it was good fun. I enjoy the guys. The people is really what makes it so awesome. So, and what is also nice is that if you do certain series, the guys, even from Joburg, Cape Town, wherever they come from, you start building those relationships, which is so great. It's like almost like a family reunion when you get back together again doing these stage races. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's great. So that brings us on to the Lesotho Ultra. So obviously you had prepped very specifically for the race, I would guess, after Comrades, focusing on with this as your goal race. Would that be correct?
I probably have put initially when I entered the race, it was more a case of serious FOMO, not wanting to miss out on something great. And then it became a bigger focus when I realized, okay, this is maybe something where I can put my, just put my little mark on the cards. And it was at one stage I thought 20 races for the year, but then I got there, and obviously also now your competitors is now very different. Now you've got international athletes, so it could have gone really well or really bad, and I've got no idea racing in other provinces really where I'm at with on a racing level, which was so awesome, because if you had to ask me where I would have put myself for that race, I would have said if I could make top 5, that would have been brilliant. So yeah, it was I'm still in denial really, to be honest. I don't know how that unfolded. It was quite impressive. It was amazing. It was it's a big blessing.
Great. So take me through a bit of the race. So I know that you were with Tracy at about through the beginnings of the race, through most of it, with Sue Don Waship up ahead of you guys.
Sue had a magnificent start. Look, I know she's had a bit of illnesses going on and whatnot, but she's put. I respect her for trying so hard to get out there. And there was in my mind no way I was going to catch that girl, just because of obviously she's got her in the first 7Ks. She probably had about a 2.5 minute lead on us, and then I was lying second at the time, up to about our first major hill, which was around about 13 kilometers, where I sort of like missed my way, and I looked down and I saw Trace, And then I waited for her and I said, okay, well now please help. let's take this thing further. And I mean, Trace is a fantastic friend of mine, so it was brilliant just actually, sharing that moment with her that we could run together again. But on the other hand, Trace and I push each other so hard because there's different levels or different stages where she's strong and I'm hanging on for dear life, and then again vice versa. So we actually continuously pushing each other quite hard. And at the last, that was the second checkpoint, roughly 37 k's, and we were told Sue is 1 minute ahead of us, which during the race she probably made up a lead of about 10 minutes on us. So yeah, when I heard that she's 1 minute ahead, yeah, I thought this is it. Yeah, time to go now.
And so was it at that point that you made a move?
Yeah, well, Tracy and I sort of like looked at each other, and we knew somebody's got to do this. Somebody's got to race it. The race was then. It basically started then, because it's your adrenaline starts rushing. You know this is maybe you've got it in your grip now. You got to take it now or not. You got to make that decision. And yeah, so we started running quite hard, and finally caught up to Sue. And yeah, I just had to put head down and go and see how far I could last. Sure, and I actually surprised myself, to be honest. But yeah, it was great. It was great.
This is a question coming in from Khaled, who runs Running the Cape. He's sending it to me on Facebook as we're talking. He says, how did you find the last climb at Lesotho, and what was going through your mind at the time, as you were going through those last few kilometers towards the finish?
Yeah, that last climb is probably the climb of my life. I actually looked back on my watch on the Garmin how long it took me at one of those Ks, and yeah, I think on the road I could crawl faster than what I went up there. But it worked. It worked for some reason. I just managed to put head down and go. Yeah, that's pretty nasty up there at that point in time of the race. And once you reach the top and you know that this is now homebound, you got to go. I think that's where my head just went flying. It's like, okay, now I'm going home. Now I got to put foot. So yeah, it was absolutely incredible. It was really, the last 6.5 k's was fantastic. So yeah, very. It was a decent descent, that's for sure.
Were you aware of the gap between you and Tracy and Sue behind you, or were you just head down and going for it?
Well, the last climb, obviously, you could still see them behind. I could still see them behind me. So there was probably about 100 meters, I guess, 100, 200 meters between us on the climb, which obviously sounds little, but on that kind of climbing that you're doing, it tends to get a bit rough. I mean, it takes time to get up there, and then obviously on the descent, it's where I had to put because I wasn't sure how hard they're gonna come after me. Just because I know this was such an important race to so many. You gotta now run as hard as you can, because that was make or break. And yeah, very happy to have got the win for that.
For everyone out there, so that you know the result in the end. Trish got in 7 minutes ahead of Tracy and about 20 ahead of Sue, which I think is a really incredible result, and that's 9th overall, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
That's a really incredible result. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, something that you said there that interested me was you said that Tracy's strong in certain points and you're strong in others, and that tends to be the case with runners, that they have specialities. Do you specialize in a particular aspect of the sport? You in ascending, descending, speed on the flats, technical terrain?
Because I'm obviously from a road running perspective, being on the track and track training and stuff, I've got a bit of speed. I'm not a like crazy speed, but I do have a bit of speed, and I love technical running. So that's I don't know. It sort of like brings you back to your childhood. Just running in the bush and going crazy. So I think from a specific point of view, wherever I'm strong, I go. It's just, it doesn't, I haven't pinpointed really, but yeah, it's just where you feel you gotta go, you gotta go.
Right. And I suppose so. I suppose that love of technical is it means that you're not that if you're on the sort of trails that you'll find in Lesotho,
Yeah.
it's joy to race, let alone it helps with the pain when you push it.
For sure, for sure. I think that race brings so much. There's so many aspects of that race that is just phenomenal. Look, it's probably the longest I've taken over that distance in my life, but it is seriously, it's got everything that you can possibly want in a trail. It's magnificent.
And what's the altitude like in that race? Is it particularly high? Is it something that was difficult to deal with?
I've been super okay with it. Look, obviously altitude went up to about 3,000 above sea level, which is pretty decent. That's a bit rough. And we were up at that level for probably roughly 15 kilometers. So, obviously you deal with it differently. There was a stage where I felt a bit queasy, and you obviously you gotta your heart's throbbing in your head, but it's you once you descend, you started feeling good again. So yeah, it depends on I suppose how your training has gone, and how you're handling that. But I've been okay with it, which is great. It's good news to me.
Yeah, fantastic. So you get to the finish line, you finish the race, you've won what is a fairly prominent and major race on the I guess, because it's not in South Africa, the Southern African racing calendar. What's next? Where do you go from here?
Sure. Actually, at the moment, it's sort of like my off season now for a little bit. But then, yeah, I've definitely got the calendar set for quite a few races next year, and hoping to get 2 races in Cape Town. Just obviously also racing certain races that's more of a higher level, to see where I can go there. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. I've got African X lined up. I've got 3 cranes lined up again. And then obviously there's quite a few in hoping to get into otter. So yeah, very exciting, very exciting.
Awesome. So taking on the real sort of highest.
That's for sure. That's for sure. No, I gotta get there sometime. I gotta go see how they run that side.
Absolutely. And have you got a partner lined up for African X?
Yes, sure. Yeah, he's probably gonna kill me. He's such a phenomenal runner. I'm actually pretty scared about this whole thing. I met him at 3 cranes this year. He's a very fast runner, and he actually was 3rd at 3 cranes as well, Alkali Burger. And yeah, we've sort of like joined up and said, okay, let's maybe go and have some fun. We've never run together, so it's gonna be something you gotta learn how to run together on that race. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I'm sure that you'll learn very, very quickly out on the trails there.
Sure.
And okay, so and then so you've got hopefully Otter lined up, and you've got African X the next year. Any other plans? Any other races that you have your eye on that you are looking to get into the calendar?
I've definitely got Mulwini. I've already entered Mulwini, which is here on our doorstep. So which is also a big race, big sponsored race, and then. Sure, I've got for the rest of the year, hoping, yeah, the goal is definitely to see how far I can take this. It's a big goal for me to see if it's possible, if God willing, that I make a team and maybe see if we can go to Switzerland in August. So I don't know. It's hopefully I'll get there, which is very exciting. I mean, we can only try. Very exciting.
Absolutely. Well, I think based on the Lesotho performance, it must be incredibly encouraging.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, like I say, I'm still in disbelief of how that race unfolded, but it's such a privilege. And I mean, you know, to run against those girls and international athletes of that caliber was pretty special. That is definitely going down as the race of the year.
Fantastic. And then I guess roughly the last question. Are there any racers or any athletes in trail running that you're particularly inspired by, that you particularly like to race against, or even just run with?
Look, my training is I train very much on my own. Races or ladies that I really enjoy running with is obviously Tracy, Tracy's uncle. She's good. She's such good fun. You know, we're good friends as well. And then, yeah, I mean, inspiring is probably you know, I've joined my coach, Claude Eckstein, which is also a trail runner. He's an obstacle course racer. You know, he specializes in those things. So to learn from people like that, and the mentorship is anybody in my books really that love trail, that see a different aspect of trail, you can learn from, which is fantastic.
Cool. Thanks. Well, enjoy the break and the bit of off season that you've got now before you get back into training. Good luck for getting into Otter, and I hope that the racing season goes really, really well. And hopefully we'll see you at African X and say hi in person.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this. This was great.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.